So this is our first meeting, right, of the semester. We have already started some classes in a book a month on Saturday and yesterday. And today we start the courses with short stories, right? So it's great to have you in the class, right? Great to see the ones that are coming back, but also the new ones. Welcome. And I'm Anna. I'm the one that talks to all of you. And I think, well, it's always a pleasure, right, to welcome new people. And in this semester, we have like several new people joining in. And well, I'm very happy to meet you all. So a book a month is just us, right? You know the team. It's just the two of us, two teachers. Um, we are also researchers, but we also do everything that you see on the internet. It's us, right? So at this time of the semester, I feel that I am going crazy. So if I make mistakes, please let me know, right? If I add you to the wrong group or if I forget to tell you something, please let me know because I try to keep everything in mind, but sometimes things might slip. Yes. I'll be teaching the short stories course, novels big reads, novels intermediate, and the English courses, right? Audio is the semester he's teaching a little bit less because he's doing his postdoc, and I have to start teaching most of the class, so he has some more time for research. But he teaches the reading class and the novels advanced course, right? And I know that some of you are also taking some of the novels advanced classes, right? I know that Leila is. So we will, you will meet him every now and then. Yes. So we're missing Lilian, right? Lilian is the one that she mentioned that she was going to be here. So let's see if she will join us. Some important info, people. We have adopted. Oh no, where's my? Let me just refresh it because it's an image that is going to be important for you. Just a sec. Because we have started using an integrated link to help you out with all the links that we have, right? So it's good that you see it. Okay. All right, so we have integrated this idea of using just one link for everything. Yes. And of course, like these links, they are separated by course. So this is yours, short stories course. Short stories was taken, so we had to add short stories course, right? If you scan it with your phone, this image here, it works, right? So if you want to do it and save it on your phone, you can do it now. But if not, by any chance, if you forget, this is it, right? Short stories course, and you will be redirected to everything that we have available at the moment, right? And here you will find several kinds of things in access. The link to this class, the calendars to both of the classes, right? The both groups, today's and Wednesdays. You have access to the link to the office hours. Everything that you need is available in the short stories course link tree, right? I'm gonna show it to you how what it looks like. So you just have an idea concerning what you can see. Yes. So this is what it looks like. As you have the first one, it's your link on Zoom. It's the same for today's course and tomorrow's, right? So we have integrated in just one, so it facilitates for you. Here you can have access to all the PDFs of the texts. Yes. Here, if you click on it, it's going to be the calendars of each of the courses. Here is the Zoom link to access the office hours. Yes, and other things that we're going to add here. Okay. Office hours, they are going to be maintained the semester. These are the dates. They are also available in your calendar. Yes. If by any chance they change, we will let you know, right? Because there might be some mishaps around the semester. I don't know how things are going to be yet, but I might have to go to Brazil in the middle of the semester because I have some illnesses problems in the family. So this might change. I'll let you know as we go, okay? But as far as we know so far, we're gonna take it. And all these times, they are Brasilia time. Yes. Nowadays, we do have some students who are from Amazonas, Rondônia. So I always have to tell because the time zone is different. Yes. So just be aware that it's gonna be like Brasilia time. Okay. It happens twice a month, 1 hour and a half. I'll be there waiting for you. If you don't come, I'll be writing, right? So come because otherwise I'll just use the time to work. Much better if you come and then I'll talk to you and help you with anything that you need. Okay, very good. All right, so other things that are very important for you, right? You can, as you know that, right? The ones who are already your students, you know that, but you can alternate with the Wednesday group, right? You don't even have to tell them, you can just come. Yes, the link is the same. And we created this possibility, the second group, to facilitate your lives, and you don't have to miss the class, right? But otherwise, if you don't come, if you by any chance cannot come to the Tuesdays or the Wednesday group, then you just watch the recorded class, right? All the classes are going to be recorded. You can also try out for other courses if you want to, right? If by any chance, let's say that on the month of November, you have a very busy schedule, right? And you don't have the time to read the short stories for this course. You can come to the reading class course, right? I can give you the link. And reading class, it's a course in which you read the works, the text in the classroom. Therefore, it doesn't have a heavy load of reading. If by any chance this is something that it's possible for you, you can alternate because both reading class and short stories, they are weekly courses that cost the same, right? So you just can alternate. It's up to you. Yes, just pop me a message and I'll help you out. Yes. Some other things that I always say, but sometimes I feel that you feel insecure about doing it, right? If you couldn't read the text, right? I know that this is going to be something sporadic, but if you couldn't read and also you want to come to class, come, right? Don't hesitate. Just like it's going to be a different experience seeing the class first and then reading the text. But this happens, everybody's busy. You have your work life, you have a family life. Sometimes unforeseen events, they happen, right? So if you couldn't read that week, come anyway, right? If you have the time, come anyway. It's going to be something good for you, right? Not to miss the class. Yes. For the ones who do who make the monthly payments, we ask you kindly to be before the 8th of each month, mostly because you know that Audio and I are the ones who do everything in a month, right? I don't deal with finances because I'm not a trusted person. I'm the creative person of the team. So I just I cannot handle with finances, but Audio does, right? So if you pay monthly, if you could do it before the 8th, it facilitates a lot for us, right? Lastly, you are not obliged to stick to the course if you cannot, by any chance. You don't pay any fee if you cannot continue. So just tell us beforehand, before the month that you're not going to participate starts. So we know, right? So just so we know. And then we know how many students are we going to have in class. Yes. By the end of the semester, we always issue certificates, and these certificates, they can be used for your Lattes curriculum. They can be provided for horas formativas in universities, right? So the certificates for the short stories, they're quite good because you have a weekly course, right? And we also count the time that you spent reading the texts, right? So it's going to be a good amount of hours, like 60 to 70 hours per semester. Okay, so it's like taking a discipline in the university. Yes, of course, not the same weight, right? But the same hours. Good. Any questions so far? Anything that you would like to know? I'm so proud of this. I think it's going to facilitate your life, right? I think it's going to be much easier for everybody. And we don't have to keep bombarding you with some information every week. Okay, so this is really meant to help you out. Yes. So this is the reading list of the semester, right? We will read some works of authors who have originally written in English, but others we are also reading in translation. We have carefully selected the translations, they're good. And I even found out that the one that we are using in the course today, it's also available on Everend Script, right? I can send you the link. Yes, it's a volume organized by Italo Calvino about fantastic tales, right? Which I know that you understand why is it fantastic at the moment, right? It's so fun. And reading the story, I always laugh a lot. But I hope that you have enjoyed as well. So we're reading a few works in translation. Gogol's, our first short story of the semester, is one of them. And Gogol is very famous, right, amongst the Russian authors, mostly because of the publication of The Diary of a Madman, which has become quite famous, and also The Nose, right? The Nose is one of his most famous works, which has influenced like several other writers to compose similar works. We're going to talk about them today, right? We will stay with this short story for 2 weeks because it's quite long. It's 1 hour of reading, more or less. Usually in the course, we tend to stay with short stories that last you 30 minutes, 35 minutes of reading, so it doesn't play a heavy toll on you. But this one, when it happens that we have longer works, then we separate it into parts. Yes, so this is the case for Gogol. We're also reading Giovanni Boccaccio's short story, right, from the Cameron. And well, I think it's the first time that we are reading a short story, which is not necessarily the same kind of style of short stories that we're reading since we have started this course, right? It's a story that has been written in the 14th century, so you will notice some stylistic differences, yes. But it's gonna be quite interesting. Boccaccio is quite funny, although he was a clergyman. Everything that he wrote about was about sex, which is to me is quite funny to think about it. Mostly thinking that the Middle Ages and the Renaissance period, it's actually about associating fun and humor with scatological devices, with bodily fluids, with making fun or making fart jokes or sex or anything like that, right? So it's quite funny the way that he conducts things. And the Decameron itself, it's a book about stories of people who have found a way in order to survive the epidemics of the plague, right, during his time. Yes. So it's historical, it's interesting. We are reading in translation, and Audrey is going to be teaching this one because he's a specialist in Italian studies, right? So it's fair enough that he does. I think you will benefit a lot from his class. Yes, which is going to be in the end of the year. I think in December. We're also reading Borges short stories, right? We have selected a few for you, which are very interesting. He's very famous for the publication of Ficciones and also El Aleph, right? Which has been translated. All of his works, they have been translated into English widely, right? Because he is quite famous abroad internationally. He's one of the most well-recognized Argentinian writers of his time. Yes. And his works are labyrinthical, as you can see by the example that we have here in the cover. And I know that to some of you, it's not something that you really enjoy, but we're gonna try to make the experience more enjoyable for you, right? Because he's a very interesting author that has influenced many others in the way that he writes. And he also is quite metafictional when he writes. He talks about the style of writing, which is something that when we read works that also talk about the process of literature, I think it's singular in this sense, right? So it's going to spark several thought-provoking conversations in the group. Yes. So these are the three ones that we're reading in translation, and all the others we are reading very famous writers, some that you have already met before. For instance, the famous one, like the classic of the classic, Charles Dickens. Have you ever read Dickens before? Yes, some of you, yes. And well, he is quite famous for writing some of the longest books of the history of literature in English, mostly because he used to publish everything serialized, right? Which meant that the more he published, the more he earned, right? That's why his books are huge. Like they are books of folhetim, yes, serialized books. He has written like bestsellers, Great Expectations, The Big Papers, Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, Little Dorrit, Bleak House, you name it. All of his titles are quite famous and representative of the Victorian era, right? Which Victorian era is a term that we define to date the period between 1837 and 1901, which was the exact time of the reign of Queen Victoria. Yes. We also read Edith Wharton, some short stories by her. She's a great author, right? And she was also very famous for the publication of novels. We have talked about these two when we talked about Catherine Mansfield, no, about Grace Paley. I don't remember now. I think yes, by Grace Paley, right? The one that she went to the library and got the books. Do you remember this short story? Was the last one that we read in the last semester. It's called Once. Ah, Angela wasn't here, right? Okay. Yes, but I think that some of you will remember. It appears in the story by Grace Paley, and they're super nice. They were very influential, and she was the first woman in history to earn a Pulitzer Prize for fiction, right? And I mean, she's really talented, right? So, I'm sure that you will really enjoy her works. Yes. The Age of Innocence and The House of Mirth are absolute classics of realism. If you ever want to read more things by her, I recommend these two. We're also reading some short stories by Louisa May Alcott, who is famous for the publication of the beautiful novel Little Women, which unfortunately in Portuguese it has been ruined. The translation, like mulherzinhas, which to me it says horrible things, right? Adoráveis mulheres, I think that is the newest translation. But she wrote a lot about the Civil War. She wrote a lot about her experience as a nurse during the Civil War, and she has some original and fantastic stories that we're going to read together in this course. We're also reading some short stories by Dorothy Parker, which I think that out of all of them, maybe Dorothy Parker and Lucia Berlin are the least well known, right? But she is a writer that has become quite famous for the publication of short stories specifically, right? Just like Alice Munro, who has built career over the writing of short stories, Dorothy Parker has done the same. Yes, she has been quoted by several important critics and other writers saying that she is one of the best short stories writers of her time, right? So I think you will find her writings exciting as well. We're also reading some stories by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but you will be surprised when you read his short stories, right? Because they are completely different. They are not childlike. I don't think that his children's works are actually for children, right? Sometimes he's very gothic. But I think that the short stories you will really enjoy because it's the kind of writing that you laugh, you are horrified, but also you're thinking, wow, right? So at the same time, you have all these kind of feelings. I'm sure you will enjoy reading him. Yes. And also, we will read Lucia Berlin, Manual for Cleaning Women, some short stories from a Manual for Cleaning Women. She is really well known for writing short stories as well. And recently, she appeared in the list of the best 100 best books of the New York Times, right? This book here, the one that we are going to read some short stories from, A Manual for Cleaning Women. It's the one that we're reading, yes. It has been translated into Portuguese by Companhia das Letras as O Manual da Faxineira. Probably have already heard of it, yes. She's also very famous for the publication of Angel's Laundromat. I think there's even a movie based on this text, right? And she is from Alaska, right? Which is something that we rarely hear nowadays about authors who are successful, who come from those states of the United States, which are not the traditional ones. New York, Tennessee, right? Alabama, and all of those things. Like, I cannot say any other name of an author who comes from Alaska, right? So it's quite an interesting story to comment about. Yeah, so this is our reading list of the semester, and sometimes we're reading only one short story by the same author. Sometimes we're reading more than one, and usually we divide one per week, one different per week. But if it's too long, then we separate it into.